Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to Josh Does Coding. In today's tutorial, we're going to be looking at setting up a health bar for your player. So the first thing we're going to do is open up our player character. I assume if you're watching this tutorial, you already have a player set up and you're just trying to figure out how to get a health bar going for him. So we're not going to cover setting up a whole player in this tutorial. So once you have your player open, there is two things we're going to need to do right off the bat, and that is going to be to add our health. So to do this, what you're going to want to do is come over to variables down here on the left side of your screen. You're going to click the plus here, so you're going to add a variable, and we're going to call this one health. And we're going to make it a float. You can make it an integer if you want. That works as well. But I just prefer making my health a float. And then we're going to add another variable. And this one is going to be called max health. So you should now have two floats or two integers called health and max health. Make sure that if you go with a float, they are both floats, and if you go for an integer, they are both integers. Just make sure they're the same. So just for this tutorial, the way we're going to make it so we take damage is simply by pressing a button. So I'm just going to try and find the G key here. No, let's just. This is slightly harder than expected. You know what? We'll use the Q key. There we go, the Q key. All right. So once you got your way of taking damage, whether it's, on collision, begin, overlap, or whatever it might be, what we're going to do is we're going to say that we want to set our health, which is our current health. And what we're going to do is we're going to get our health. So you're just going to drag from your component. You can just drag it in to get health. Then from health, we're going to say float minus float. And we're going to attach there. So we're going to say health equals health. This pretty much is saying health equals health minus 1. We're going to make it 10. So we're now saying our health equals our current health minus 10. And then we're going to set it here. So pretty much you'll be, 100 minus 10 equals 90. Then it would be, since we're setting the health, this would now be 90. So it would be 90 minus 10 equals 80, and so on. What you can do is you can compile. And once you compile, you can actually click on your variables to set the default value of them. So I'm going to set my default value for both health and max health to 100. You can set them to whatever you like. Doesn't really matter. But once this is done, you've set your default values and you've gotten your way of taking damage set up, whatever it might be. You are good to start working on the UI. So let's get out of the player and let's come to our content browser, come down to user interface right at the very bottom, and we're going to select a widget blueprint. So we're just going to name this player HUD. So we can open up our widget now. And it's pretty similar to a blueprint. If you've never done this before, you have your designer and you have your graph, just like a blueprint. So for the health bar, what we're going to want to do is drag a progress bar from our little menu over here. We're going to drag a progress bar. Now I'm just going to increase the size of it. You can make it whatever size you want. Again, this is just all cosmetic. So what you can do is you can come down to appearance and you can select the color of it. So I'm going to make it red for health. You just click on it and you can change it. And then what you're going to want to do is come to your progress settings here, and you'll see percent. So if you just move this up or down, you can see the bar moves. Now, of course, you don't want to do this manually. So what we're going to do is we're going to click this little bind button here, and we're going to create a binding. So this is pretty much creating a function for to get the percent of the progress bar, would be the best way to explain it. So all we're going to do is drag out from get percent, or whatever you want to call it, to cast to player character. And this will be cast to whatever your player character is. You know, if you named it cast to player dog, you're going to have to cast player dog. And then we're going to get player character, just like so. And as player character, we're going to get health. And we're going to get max health. So again, from get percent, you're going to cast to whatever your player character is named. Then you're going to make sure to get the player character, just so you're passing the return value into the object. And then as your character, you're going to get your health and get your max health. Then from health, you're going to say float divided by float, or integer divided by integer. And you're going to say health divided by max health. And then the result of this is going to be the return value for the progress bar. Now, if you compile and save this, you are finished inside of the widget. So again, from get percent, we're going to cast to the player. Then we're going to get the player character. And we're going to, as the player character, make sure you do as player character. You're going to get health, max health, divide them, and get their return value. All right. So now what we can do is, if we hop in to our player blueprint again, what we need to do is add this widget to the screen. So right now, if we load into the game, you can see we can't actually see the widget, and that's because we haven't added it to the screen. So to do that, you're going to open up your player BP, and you're going to go to your begin play node. If you don't have one, you can just switch begin play. You can ignore all the other nodes that are just from previous tutorials. So on begin play, you're going to want to drag out, and you're going to want to create widget. And here, the class, you're going to select your player HUD, or your health bar, whatever you called it. And then you can leave owning player blank. And what you're going to want to do is drag out from create player HUD. You're going to want to search for add to viewport. And you're going to want to drag the return value of the create player HUD into the viewport. So what this is doing, it's creating the player HUD in the game. So when you start the game, it's creating the HUD, and then it's adding it to the screen. And since we're in the player character, it's going to add it to the player character screen. So now we compile, save, go back to the world, and you can now see your health bar. And when we press the Q button, you can see that the health bar is going down. So that is how you set up the player's health bar. Again, just see it working here. If this tutorial helped you get your health bar up and running, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, be sure to comment down below on any feedback for this tutorial and how we can make future ones better, as well as if you have any questions, leave them down in the comments below, and I will answer as quickly as I can. With that said, I hope you all have a good rest of your day, and good luck with your games.